Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the home of the most competitive game coverage, most intense unit analysis, and the highest of high-level plays ever seen by two casuals who barely know where the rule booklet is. You're listening to This is for Worlds. Let us join Aaron and Phi and see what competitive topic is on the docket today. Hi and welcome back to This is for Worlds. I'm Phi.
And I'm Aaron.
Yeah, we're just two idiots on the internet. But you should listen to us, because we have a podcast.
We're still alive, but we're still two idiots on the internet. It's been a while. Hey, you want to go first? You got some new stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've got anything new outside of Victory at Sea. Because the French Navy came in, so I did the French Riviera thing that I said I was going to do, where they are all the big ships, like we're going to butcher some names, like the Richelieu and the Bern, are like a gloss black with gold accents and then gold dry brushing, and then everything else, the like cruisers, destroyers, are the blackest black 3.0, and then silver accents with silver dry brushing to kind of be like the bodyguards. So all of those are painted, and we're hopefully going to play a game of that tomorrow, so I can finally put them on the table. Very happy with how they turned out. Some lessons learned, some interesting stuff. The gold didn't want to seem to dry brush well, which was super frustrating. Like it seemed, I'd say it was almost greasy, which was...
What brand were you using?
Army Painter. It was bright gold. But the weird thing is the silver was like Army Painter Shining Silver or something. It's like whatever the like straight silver is, not like plate mail or steel or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So same company, and it looked fantastic. Like I love the way it looks on the cruisers and the destroyers, but it just seemed to leave more. Like there's a gold hue, and I didn't hate it enough on the battleship on the like front part, because there's like where the anchor chains are on the bow, on the top portion, there's like an angular break just past that. It makes like a triangle that separates like the actual bow from the rest of the deck aft of that. And so I left it there, but everywhere else where it showed up, I basically went back through with the gloss to cover it up. Because like I don't know if it was leaving stuff on the brush even after like wiping it to dry shade it, or what was going on with it. It just did not want to give up. It just left like greasy streaks, whereas the silver didn't. So there's the only minor annoyance, but that fleet is done. And then Saturday at the tournament, because we had odd numbers of players. During the third event, I was able to like finally sit down, because most everybody, didn't have a lot of questions. I was able to build two F-14s and I think I got both F-15s done. But two F-14s, two F-15s in 1/144th scale. The intent is used for Team Yankee, or if we ever break into like the more advanced Jet Age rules for Blood Red Sky, they're an option. But Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we covered, already finished the rest of the Italians. Oh, did all the freighters? Because I don't know if we covered it here,
Ooh, yeah,
but
they look really good.
we had a 7, 8, 9. I forget how many Altmark German oil tankers, I think is what it is. I forget how many of those you had in the store $2 bin, but I went through it, bought all of them, and then basically configured the mass to be different so that it wasn't like the exact same ship 7 or 9 times, and then painted each one different designs. So all that's done. And I think those are the only games that I've like touched recently for modeling. Yeah, so I think that's all I've done. What about you?
So the biggest project I got done was I finally hammered out the Americans that you were so gracious enough to sling my way. So they were fairly basic, as like you could really get into the weeds with like paint schemes and stuff, but it's just dry brush gray, did a darker blue water. Although I did learn an interesting fact that some of them weren't just, even if they had wooden decks, they didn't necessarily just have them as treated or anything like that. Some of them were painted like sea blue. So I did that with the Essex and my battleships. I think a couple of my cruisers. So it's pretty much all I think I want for the Force. Everything that you had. There's like a decent spread of stuff.
Yeah,
So
I had wanted, I really wanted to be excited to play US, like given that I'm a Navy veteran, submarines, all of that. I don't know. They just, it's not that they feel overpowered, but it felt like there's an answer for everything. And I wasn't excited for that, because that meant like, oh, I'm playing your Japanese next time. All right, we're gonna take this, this, and this. Oh, we're playing, the Brits. Oh, we're gonna take this. Oh, we're playing the Germans. All right, we're gonna take this. Like, they have the Swiss Army knife where you can typically bring anything to handle whatever your opponent can do. And I guess it just seemed boring to me.
I mean, I get that. There did feel like a little bit of easy mode there, you could say, because like things were just like aggressively statted well for the points, I guess.
Yeah.
Just like the New Mexico's being ballpark around about 400-ish versus the equivalent Congo in Japanese from my experience, and it just felt like I was getting so much more for the points. Just in terms of the guns, sure, the Congos are a lot faster, but they're not faster to get you any of the keywords, right? Or to get you any of the bonuses,
Right.
versus shooting. It's like going 7. It doesn't have agile. It just goes a tidbit faster. Big deal, Once my things got into the fight, because they didn't fire for turn 1, turn 2, there was nothing that was doing anything terribly effective. They were just some like pot shots. They dealt some damage, no crits, but turn 3, they rolled it in and just started beating face really good, given as good as they got. Versus John was playing a couple like the pocket battleships, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, and the Bismarck or the Turpus. I can't remember which one it was. They're like, oh well, that's like the best they got. And it's like, I just got some New Mexico's, kind of just battleships that they had. So I get that.
That's fair. And I mean, I guess we're jumping into worlds qualifying that we've done, because even though we've not recorded, we have definitely played a lot of games. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the only thing I painted anyway. So
fair enough. So that game was just this past week, right? With John and
Yep.
the Americans.
Yep. We did 1,500. It was 2 New Mexicos, the Essex. Gosh, like I think it was 4 Northampton, 3 Northamptons. Something like that, and maybe 4 or 5 Fletchers. And my God, I learned the how great it is to get your carrier in deep deployment, because the only thing I had on the table when we went to roll for scouting were the New Mexicos.
Okay, before we get into that, let me hit the other two game, or the other game where we were talking about this, because I think it's really gonna to play in together. Because frequently you and I on here in the store, doesn't matter, will frequently say, like, doesn't matter how many times we read the fucking rule book, there seems to be always something we miss or something we don't understand. So a little while back, maybe a couple weeks ago, I forget exactly when we played it, but we did another game, 2,000 points, my Italians versus your Japanese. I brought 2 Littorios. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I couldn't do the full meme. I tried to cheat, but then I redid the math. Couldn't fit the content there. The Luigi Cardona, 1 carrier, 2 submarines, 3 destroyers, and another cruiser. Or maybe it was the Luigi. No, because it was a Zara. Yeah. So, the reason that I wanted to like rope this in to your conversation regarding your game is because it was kind of the same thing, where I threw all 3 destroyers, one of the cruisers because it had advanced radar, into my scouting, and then got my carrier in deep deployment, deployed my fighter and bomber wings, essentially, and I kind of love it now, just taking destroyers, because, like, for the Italians, my fucking torpedoes suck. So, like, having to get within range 1 inch for point blank is so fucking difficult. Like, it's hard enough with submarines that I can rig to, like, deploy where I need them and appear where I need them, but yeah, it was totally worth throwing them in scouting. And then, aside from the cruiser, I would have liked to have the cruiser out, because your destroyer, like, you still had destroyers on the table. I would have liked to have the cruiser sooner, but I did not care if I got the destroyers back on the table, to the point where I didn't even notice. Like, I totally forgot at the beginning of the next round on one of them to put one into play until I went to roll.
You remember to roll. Yeah, you remember to roll, but didn't actually put it in.
Yeah, I rolled it, was like, oh, cool, I get one back. Went into the next round, forgot to put it in, went to go roll again at the end of the round, and was like, ah, fuck me, I have a guy that came back, and totally just, forgot that was where it came in. But it finally made me not feel bad as Italians taking destroyers. Because, like, the Navigatories are, like, the best ones that I have access to in that. So it's like, yeah, you take, like, 3 of them, use them as scouts, or maybe even take the cheaper ones, throw them in as just scouting, and who gives a crap if they come back or not. Like, they did their job, in essence.
Like, it totally seems worth it throwing away, a 60-point destroyer to get you your scouting points, especially because carriers are so infinitely more powerful. Being able to start with every single flight on the board.
True. Funny you say that, though. Because my destroyers are like 35 points or less.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, I mean, I might. I'm just looking at the cards I have. I might have access to cheaper destroyers in the book.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of my thought, is like, why not just throw it into Scout, and who gives a crap? If it comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's served its purpose. Because, like, I did feel the cruiser, because it essentially meant that, like, I only had 4 ships on the table when we started, not including the submarines.
Are you the 2 Littorios, the Zaro, and the Luigi, right?
Yeah. Compared to... Oh, yeah, because I had a Zara and an Etna. That's right.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, so having those 4, and then you pretty much outnumbered me. And I knew... And this is where we get into, like, evade is fucking overpowered.
Very. It's also extremely annoying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the OP part. Because I had to. Like, I could not risk, taking more damage.
Fair point, yeah.
Because we saw what happened. So, most of the game, we closed at distance. The Littorios have a really good long range, short range, point blank. So, I didn't mind slow rolling in. Because this time we didn't have any terrain. We didn't have any islands. We didn't have anything like that. It was just open sea battle. And I had to evade because there was nowhere for me to hide. There was nowhere for me to position. It was purely try and get the setup. And so I set the cruisers, destroyer, or the 2 cruisers on one side of the table, basically paralleling the board edge for my deployment zone, as well as the 2 Littorios were at a 45 to the board edge on the opposite side, pointed at your fleet. So the idea was, like, the cruisers could move fast, evade, smoke, try and do everything so I could close the gap without getting damaged. And the reason evading is so fucking important is because I made you reroll probably, like, I'd say a conservative estimate, 40 dice, 50 dice.
I think that's a fair.
Between the 2 of them.
It was stupid.
Yeah, because you were rolling consistently, probably like 90% of your dice for hits, and then re-rolling them into misses a lot. But the one time I was like, I need to keep speed up because your Congo was angled away from the fight and moving at speed. I was like, one of the Littorios couldn't evade. It had to move 6 to keep up or risk losing you to extreme range and beyond 30 inches. And the one time I did not evade so I could keep up, everything that hit it fucking waylaid the shit out of it. It took its first... It was
quite the bitch slap.
Yeah, it took its first vital. It took like 4 additional crits. It dropped down to like 70-something, 60-something health. That was like one round of just being like, that's why we have to evade. But since I forget what your mission was, but I remember mine was just deny your mission.
Oh,
so basically kill you.
I had to like kill. You always have to like kill a certain amount of stuff.
Yep.
I think it was the one though where I also had to then pull my stuff off the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of like I was gonna, if I just chose to retreat, you were gonna win because your win con was like, so long as they don't win or get a major, you get to the major, right?
Yep.
And I was just toast because I'm like, well, I have to get in there. I have to at least sink something and then run away. But I lost so much on the way in.
Yep. Because the main issue was my cruisers were the only things that I let get close enough for you to like really hammer. And I mean, you did damage to them. Like they were moving best speed they could, which I think was only 6 inches. But they were mainly just providing cover and blocking like your destroyers from being able to get up next to the Litorios or anything like that. So they did a really good job screening. The Litorios evading, only moving 3 inches each turn. It was just super difficult for you to get that kill, especially since 1 cruiser and 3 destroyers were off the table. So, like, you had to kill the hardest things possible, and it was just a little too tough for that. Because it also meant, with me slow rolling the big boys into the middle, you couldn't stay near your board edge or a board edge. You had to come out into the middle to fight me. So, even if you got the kill, it would have been super difficult to get your fleet back to the board edge before end of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a loss, but it was a loss that, like, it was fun, if that makes sense. You know, like, not that playing you is ever not fun, or anything like that, but I was like, yep, no, there's nothing I can do about this. This is just an unwinnable condition, and you played it well to your advantage. It's more fun than just, all right, you're there, I'm here, let's see who, concedes first, because there's like, well, there's nothing more I can do. There's nothing left I can use to kill yours. Our usual just slap fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I even gave us the option for re-rolling the objectives, but we decided to stick it out anyways. The other thing I want to talk about is from that game, it's also where we learned aircraft aren't as bad as we originally feared. And in fact, if they have tough and you're throwing them at Japanese ships who have local 1, they're pretty fucking resilient.
Some could say impervious.
I don't know if you're trying to make a Legion reference.
No, I'm just saying they're literally impossible for me to kill with my local. There's no joke
with
there.
The local, yeah. And
it's a simple fact. There is impossible.
Yeah.
Just 2 hits are required. I think I even remember like looking it up in an FAQ to make sure that we weren't just reading it wrong and being like, oh well, in this condition, it's like, no, they're like, you literally need 2 hits.
Yep. Because we were like, oh, is it like a multi-wound model where you only have to hit it, twice, and you can do it with 2 different guns? It's like, nope. You need to hit it twice, flat out in the same roll to smack it.
Just get better, nerd. I don't know what to tell you.
Why are you taking Japanese against aircraft? Was kind of the vibe that you get there.
Yeah.
Which is okay, because looking at my French, even though it's hilarious that my French aircraft carrier gets torpedoes, it gets some of the shittiest aircraft I've ever seen. So, it's
you enjoy the pain, so
yeah, it is gonna be rough with them.
Yeah, but I'll say back to what I had learned from that game and applying it versus John.
Yeah,
I had my Essex was in. Was that included? Oh, that's what it was. I had the 2 New Mexicos and the Essex were the only thing on the board. 4 Northamptons, I think it was 4 Fletchers were off the board as scouting support, plus another 16 dice that I just got from the aircraft keyword across my list. I was like, fuck, why not? I may as well put them all out there. And come to find out, if you roll high enough, you get literally everything, and then it all starts on the board anyway. Because there's a line in one of them, I think it's the 8+ that says you can redeploy in the extended deployment, where your edge effectively becomes a really long C shape, where you have the entire long table edge and halfway up the short table edges. Yeah. And then it says, last line, it says, including ships that have scouted. And I was like, oh. And I look at John, and he's like, I didn't bring aircraft. I was like, I'm sorry, John. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, he certainly shot. I took, the Essex can take 22 flights. I probably got 8 off the board. That being said, like, so I also wasn't paying attention because they, despite being like off the board, right, when you're in deep deployment, you can still do the usual recover, rearm, and relaunch flights. It's kind of just assumed like they get off the board, cool, they made it to the carrier, do your thing. They just appear. There's a little bit of hand waving there, as opposed to like having to measure that distance exactly right if it was on the board. I kind of kept forgetting that they made it, and so that being said, with as fast as they went, I was probably only going to get one more run, because it was taking him 2 turns to get off the board, 2 turns then to get back to the fight because of where he was, being like on his third of the board, basically. But also, dive bombers are awesome.
Yeah.
They may not hit as hard as torpedo bombers, but the fact that they just hit way more reliably, being on a 3+, is pretty great.
I agree.
That being said, John, like I said, John still did kill a bunch of them. And, yeah, I think they took out like a 200-point Prince Huygen or something like that. I think it was like 280 points. So the aircraft definitely made their air quotes points back, since you don't. Oh, that's the other thing, right? We learned that you don't pay for flights on aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the New Mexico's basically just gotten to a point where we were both getting all the bonuses pretty much every turn, because he wanted a full broadside, I wanted a full broadside, so we were parallel to each other going in a circle. And he was just, basically we were just trying to kite each other, be it at his long or my short, because they were like so close, where his short was my long, so he was trying to like keep that bonus. But it didn't really matter because I was in getting his arc bonus every single time.
Right.
And the 6+ armor, and like they're not even. That's the thing, is I think they're just really well costed for what you get with the New Mexicos, because they're only like 72 points or 72 health points.
Sure.
But it's 4 attack dice plus 2 AP, or 3 attack dice plus 2 AP, and then 3 damage dice. So even on 4+, I was routinely like throwing 12 dice. I hit him 8 times, and I'm like, sweet, John, that's 24 damage dice. I don't really care that I don't have heavy. Like, the odds are just in my favor. I'm going to roll 2 or 3 6s, along with plenty of other, 4+ to hit, I think was what I was getting the Bismarck on. It got to the point where that was all he had. It was the Bismarck or the Tirpitz, but that was all he had left, and he's like, yeah, I'm done.
Oh, man. That's like the game that we played. We had a 3-way a little while back. I think at about 1,000 points, maybe 1,200.
Something like that. Sounds about right.
Something to that effect. A couple islands thrown out there. And, I mean, aside from annoying the fuck out of John with being like, John, you drove right at us. Because John's a very simple man. He sees the enemy, he drives straight at the enemy. So, when John gets shot for driving at the enemy, he's very confused why he got shot for driving at the enemy. But that was a game I got. It didn't matter if I evaded. Evading didn't do shit. All I really remember is I had 2 Littorios, and something small. Because I'm pretty sure we were playing 1200, so that meant that
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh, did I do the meme thing with the aircraft?
I don't remember.
I think I took.
This.
I think I took like a number of aircraft that didn't do anything because I was like, I have 100 points, and there's nothing else I really want to fit in here. So I took like one aircraft and one other thing, some like 70-point cruiser, and I threw that out there. And the Littorios got bitch slapped like a mother. I was duking it out with John pretty good. I kind of looked at you and was like, hey, he sent 2 battleships your way. He sent the rest of the fleet my way. We didn't officially, like, say a truce, but, like, we were not really trading shots until we were, like, within short to point blank of each other. And even then, it was just kind of like light guns, because like I was hammering what I could get a hold of on John's side, and he was giving as good as he got. But then eventually, when we're like, "Hey, point blank, you're my only target," I'm like, "Yeah, nope, fucking do it." And then all of a sudden, a cruiser appears around an island and just drops an amazing. I'm pretty sure you crit like 6-7 times.
It was dumb. I do remember.
And then confirmed 4 of them, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be really brutal. And sure enough, you dropped it. It went down to like 50 health points on a 90 health point ship, armor 6, torpedo belt 2. It was rough. And then the other one had like a bunch of crits on it because it was the one that John was focusing the most, but it ate shit. Once you killed the last of his battleships, you were like, oh, you're the only thing left within range. And I was like, yep, that's totally it. So you like immediately popped that one with like a vital, and I was like, I'm done. I'm just gonna pick up both of these ships, get them out of your way, let you two continue fighting. But even then, I think John was like, I think I'm also done. Because you killed like 2 of his battleships. I think we credited 1 kill to you for mine. And then you crippled? Is that where you get that half points?
Yes, if you bring it to crippled, yeah.
Yeah, and then you crippled the other one, and I was like, yeah, you can have it, because we're basically going to call it. And, like, talking with John was like, man, I thought I was going to get, like, some of those points. I was like, dude, I thought you were too, but you just were not doing enough back to me to really do anything about it, and you were the one, like, you didn't hide from the fight. You were just really good at keeping both of us at arm's length while we were brawling. And then when it became clear that, like, I was the only one left with firepower, it was like, yep, nope, we're just going to go ahead, shut that shit down, bury you, move on. Yep. So.
Yeah, he also did something which I thought was interesting, because it would have been one thing if he threw some sacrificial lamb little things, or things that maybe could have done some damage but weren't huge point sinks for his fleet in my way, because there was like an assemblage of islands in the center, and I was on, if you and I were on the same side of the table. I was on the left, you were on the right, and John was mostly on your side, and then he swung around the islands from his perspective to the right. Just 2 things, but they were like, I think they were both battleships, or it was a battleship and a heavy cruiser, so it was a significant portion of his force.
Yep.
And I was kind of like keeping you at arm's length while also just unloading my entire 1,200 points versus 2 ships. I was like, it was too good of a target for me not to like take a huge chunk, because my goal was keep you at arm's length, get some pot shots, annihilate 2 of his battleships, and then swing around to effectively come behind him so that he'd be between the two of us, and then you and I could duke it out with whatever was left because it was clear that, the way it was set up, John was kind of stuck in the middle, even if we didn't make a truce.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate that I was not to be the anvil in that situation. Like, if anything, I was an anvil made out of paper mache, because I don't even think it was necessarily rolling hot, because like it wasn't above average damage coming in. It was just the correct crits when they needed to happen, kind of thing. To where it was just like, wow, that's a real big annoyance on the first, and then it's like, oh, okay, that one actually really hurts. Now I can't maneuver. Oh, that one, oh, fuck. Like, it wasn't that, because, like, I'm pretty sure until before I engaged you, I was still on, like, 75 plus health, which means, like, he only did, like, 15 points of damage to me. That's nothing. But it was just the amount of annoying fucking crits that he put on the first one that I was just like, sweet, I'm down a turret, I'm down damage dice, I'm down speed, because I don't think he really touched crew. I think it was mostly like engines and guns that like kept getting hit, and I was just like, okay, yep, we're just gonna take this.
Yeah, well, I beat him up for you the following week, so.
I mean, you're the winner out of those two, so.
You gotta teach me my lesson tomorrow.
We'll see, because I want to put French on the table, and I don't know. Even though I've looked through them, I don't know exactly how they're gonna play. Plus, I don't have as many options as I do with the Italians. Like, it's basically going to be that starter fleet unless I mix the fleets together. So we shall see. I'm definitely interested. I think the Richelieu is going to be a fucking awesome ship, and I really want to put it on the table, but
is that the battleship, or is that the carrier?
That's the battleship. The carrier's the burn. And as much as I want to love that thing, the aircraft make it terrible.
Awesome. Before we move on to Legion, did you have anything else to cover? I just wanted to cover quickly some Marvel Crisis before we get to our Legion tournament.
I mean, before we hit that, I will say, Adam and I got in a game of Team Yankee with the new dynamic points rules.
Yeah.
This one was a little while ago, so I don't remember too much other than I'm pretty sure he played Polish. I played West German because I really wanted to try the new dynamic points and see if you could build a balanced list with the Leopard 2A5s. You can. The dynamic points felt really, really fucking good. It was nice to finally be able to build a list at 100 points, which I'm pretty sure is what we played. To build a list around 100 points and not be like, yay, I have 5 tanks and no room for anything else in my list. So they're going to die to infantry or tow missiles or aircraft or artillery, and I'm going to feel real bad, kind of thing. That's all I kind of remember for that. Other than also new terrain piece. Someone posted in an HO scale train group, because you never know where terrain ideas are going to come from, or painting ideas or shit like that. Some dude posted in a train group, was like, hey, I found this Fast and the Furious,
Forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, Dominic Toretto house from the very first movie and so on and so forth. And I was like, that looks like it's almost perfect scale for Team Yankee. And it's a little off. I think I did the calculation and it's like 187th or something. It's a totally bizarre scale. Like, it's literally just a little display thing. It doesn't have an official scale on it. But you throw it down on the table and it looks like it fits with the other terrain. So, like, the joke was like the Polish or the Russians were, coming to take the house, and the West Germans, for some reason, were the ones to beat them back. But yeah, I know dynamic points are now in the list builder. They're happy with where they're at. They made like one change before it went live, and that was to make Bradley's even cheaper than they are, which seemed to like really piss off a lot of the community because they're like, why did that thing get cheaper out of all the other things that needed to be looked at or something? But
yeah, just from what I've noticed and people complaining before the dynamic points, Bradley Mech list seemed like one of the better lists competitively for American.
yeah, and it's better.
Yeah. Yep, and then it got better.
Yeah, so I would definitely like to play more Team Yankee. I know you and I are working on figuring out when and how we want to play a game with not necessarily modded rules for the most part. I think we'll talk about that more once we actually play it, but it felt really good. Like, as someone who just likes to take a bunch of spam lists for like wheelie boys or artillery or shit like that, it felt fun taking a actual tank group, like a fully loaded one with a little bit of infantry support, because I think I had like 2 martyrs and some Fuchs that carried like a couple infantry. I don't even remember what else is in the list. Like, it's probably on my forces still, but it just felt fun to be able to put those units on the table together. So dynamic points gets a thumbs up from me.
Nice. I've yet to try it, but I am eager to do so. So, can I do my MCP stuff now?
No one wants to talk of it. Yeah, of course, man. Why are you asking?
It's the Adam section of the show.
Nice.
So, Adam has been trying to get people to come in for the ultimate encounters that AMG does with Marvel Crisis, which are clearly just narrative, much in line with the Legion ones they've done in the past. It's kind of, there's in the rules, it feels a little bit open-ended, where, hey, you want to add a little bit more to the match, add in extra rules for the bad guys, totally welcome to do so. Have fun with it. So we did the Hydra Tank Ultimate Encounter, where it was meant to be 3 people versus the Ultimate Encounter. Generally speaking, the baddie that you're fighting has a simple set of rules that, like, an event runner, if this was like a store was running the event, so to speak, the event runner would just do it and be there to, like, provide the players with a fun time, because the tank is fun, but it's fairly simple.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get anybody else to sign up, nerds. And so Adam's like, I'll just throw together 3 lists, because the thing was each player got 8 points. Generally, missions in MCP, like we've talked about in the past, are anywhere from like I think it's 15 is the lowest, to 20, but they average at 17 points, and that gets you maybe 4 to 6 characters, 7 characters, depending on how much they cost. Each player would come with 8 points, so it'd be 24 points total versus the tank. And you could, like, totally metagame it, and he realized that, like, he could take the best thing, having read the rules and seen what the tank does, the fast characters, because basically you can, like, stick magnetic mine things on it and force some rolls on these charts, as opposed to just straight dealing damage. But he's like, no, I'm going to take something thematic and appropriate. And so he took a shield list, Captain America, Iron Man, Nick Fury, both senior and World War II Nick Fury, War Machine, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, I believe, was who he took. And it was a ton of fun because basically the tank's just running around like reminded me a lot of like PlayStation or era video games where the final boss would just drive around the level destroying everything as you're evading it and trying to get around it. Because anytime like I destroy terrain or I KO a character, I would earn a point on my tracker. I need to get to 11 points to win. And there are these little spider bots running around, and if they get to the sewer tokens, they also add to that. But our heroes, they can run up to the spider tokens and basically like huck them inside the tank. And the cool way they did, as opposed to the tank just having a giant health value, it has 6 health, but every time you get it, which is fairly average, maybe higher end of average as characters go, but it rolled 6 dice on defense for every kind of defense in that game, which is phenomenally good. But every time you get it to 6 health or 6 damage, or you successfully get a hit 8 to hit roll on the d8, which is half of them are hits or count as offensive hits, you would roll on the 3 systems of the tank: the treads, the reactor, or the gun. And what you needed to win, and we played basically the hardest version, you needed to get 5 tokens on one of the 3 tracks, and or one of the 3 boards, right? So the reactor, the tracks, or the gun. And what was fun is every time you applied something to it, there would be a fun in-game effect. Some of them which were really bad for the heroes. I think the 3rd hit on the gun gets to unload at everything within range and then gets destroyed. But it's not defenseless, because part of what it does is that since it's just a big-ass tank,
right?
Literally, one of the rules says it's a tank numbskull, so it can't be moved. Movement and push effects are very important in that game, but it doesn't deal with that. It just gets to drive over people.
Nice.
Like, so if Adam lined up things poorly, and he was like in that, making those choices where, ooh, I could go here and I could get a really easy throw, because throwing the bots is way easier than dealing the damage. But because I get 3 actions: pivot, move forward, so literally just like a tank, right? Pivot, move forward or backwards, and then shoot my gun. I could pivot, run over someone, roll 8 dice, and then drive over 2 people, rolling 8 more dice each time, and then shooting the tank for a 9 dice attack. It was a lot of fun, just driving around, being maniacal. But what was cool is that we realized the way some of the rules are worded. There are things called grunts in this game where they're literally just the nameless people, like shield agents. They're just people, right? They're not superheroes.
Red shirts.
Or Hydra. Hydra soldiers. The way the rules are worded, you can certainly like add those things, which we think, especially since Adam was effectively, I was playing one person as opposed to having 3 people that might want to be like, no, I want my guy to live, right? They're not necessarily always going to work in perfect concert. That it would be fun to add the grunts to that. So it was a lot of fun. It made me excited to try some of the other ones. He and I ages ago played the one with Dormammu, which I don't really remember a whole lot about. But the other one that's really cool that they do is the Thanos, where it's literally like the movie. It is, you can take, I don't remember what the good guys can take, but it's, take some Avengers team, but you're playing souped up Thanos with every single reality stone, or with every single infinity gem, rather. Because in the game, characters can take the infinity gems. Thanos can take 2, but nobody can carry them all at once. It would be incredibly overpowered.
Sure.
So that was quite a bit of fun. I think that was everything I've played beyond the Legion tournament.
Yeah, I mean, looking at our notes, that's all we've played too. So yeah, I guess that does leave Star Wars Legion.
Yeah, you want to start?
I suppose I was the first buy for the event. I took the list that is currently in my bag, because ever since the second edition, I guess we'll call it, rules came out, the Rebel list that I had got replaced, only because I don't have a 1,000-point variant of it that I want to play right now. it had one trick, and that trick is no longer a trick in the game. So I'm playing droids at the moment, and I still really like Grievous from the learning game that I did with them a little while back before the points change. So it's Grievous, 2 B2s with the ACM, a Magna Guard with a rocket, couple upgrades, 4 naked B1s, 3 Droidecas with emergency transponder, and then an AAT with high velocity coordinate droid and HQ uplink. And Willie's dad sat down across from me with a really disgusting list. But the new objectives and the new primary and secondary objectives won me the game. And the fact that we went to time. Because he was playing Palpatine, 2 Royal Guards, 2 Dark Troopers that were fully loaded, 2... what are they called? Stormtroopers with medbots, and 1 Snowtrooper squad that was fully loaded with the extra 4 dudes. And I will say, off the bat, I totally blanked and forgot that Dark Troopers get 2 activations. I totally forgot that was a thing they could do. So when he deployed, because he only had like 8 activations, so when he deployed his shit first, I saw an opportunity to take pot shots at the Snow Squad and also set up to like keep him locked off the one of the control points, one of the POIs, with all 3 droidecas. Except he got to move his Dark Troopers twice, and that put them in range to shoot my droidecas, so he basically wiped the droideca in the first turn, and the second one not too long after. The third, they held on for dear life. It took that heavy snowtrooper squad way too many turns to kill him, but, you know, they fucking did their job. They pulled people off the point to prevent him from scoring, because I forget what the name of the one we were playing is, the main objective. But close the pocket, because it's the one that's split. The
4 corners.
Yeah, the deployment zone split. So the objective is basically old signal intercept, or intercept the signal. You got them, the 3 POIs equally spread out in the middle. And I literally looked at him at one point and was like, I hope my calculation is I have more bodies than you do dice and actions. So I piled everybody into one corner except for the 3 droidecas. He piled everybody into the corner across from my droidecas. And he fucked around with the droidecas for a little too long. And made his way over to the center cap too late. Because I think at the end of the round, the only thing I had left was Grievous, a single Magna leader, and the AAT was untouched. So it would have been super easy for him to, in the 5th and final round, to take the cap in the center and push it over. It would have been we would have tied and gone to KP, which he would have won because he would have wiped most of the army. Like, he could have probably killed Grievous. I would have given him the Magna, but there was no way in hell he was killing the tank. not with Grievous still alive and being annoying, and the tank being at range 4 of him for the most part, and just continually shooting. But yeah, because it basically just came down to I kept just double moving. Like, as soon as turn 1, double move, get as close to the objective as I can. Turn 2, double move, get as close to the objective as I can. Using line of sight blockers to like force him to come around the corner to where the tank can shoot him, and vice versa. And things were going well until Palpatine came in. We were able to do the math to be like, turn 4 is probably going to be the final turn, because we were playing somewhat slow in the beginning, not intentionally. Willie's dad definitely had a lot of questions about like thinking about how he wanted to do plays and this, that, and the other. I knew right off the bat that I needed to score the center objective as soon and as often as possible. So like my play was like, each and every time we played it, I just went through it. So the first few turns were a little slower, but like the more that like we kept realizing what we were at for time and how long it was taking us to play, like we were flying, but there were like 2-3 activations left when time was called for like the hard 15, and I was like, we're not going to make it to round 5 because you can't start a new round. So I was like, I'm going to take this because it's 10. It was like 10-9. Oh no, he would have won because he would have gotten. It would have been 12-11. It would have been a super close game. Because I was scoring the middle one gets you 2 points. Scoring either of the outer ones gets you 1 point per. I held the center for 2 turns, captured my outside for 2 turns. That 6 got the what is it? Our secondary, scored that twice. So that put us up to 8. And I denied him once on his outer, and he didn't get the final one until the end, but he was scoring his secondary. So it was super close, super interesting, and I could tell he was definitely a little bummed that like the time is essentially what got him, because he was like, I definitely had you, and I was like, oh no, you definitely did. Like, I was only owning one of these forever, and it was just a matter of time. But Palpatine coming in on turn 4, doing and now you shall die, or given to your anger. I forget which one Palp Bomb is, but he came in, wiped 4.
The one where he gets to like take a wound and keep making attacks or something like that.
Yeah, so he did. He's got 5 health, so he can only do 4 attacks. So he burst a speed in, did zapping, and cleared 4 squads off the cap, which was just like, yeah, no, that's definitely yours. So I think I only beat him by 1 victory point, but it was one of those that if he had played a little bit faster in the beginning, he would have definitely spanked me, and I would have probably lost by a point, if not 2. Super close, a lot of fun. I definitely still enjoy the new rules.
Nice. I would concur. Like, once we get into my game, the thing that I'm taking from this edition is that, sure, I have my complaints about certain things. I'm curious why they did X, Y, Z, but it's still a lot of fun to play, and it's a game. Ultimately, that's what it should be. It should be fun.
True.
And thematic, So, any other thoughts on your game, or shall we move into mine?
Uh, yeah, nothing really. Because it was very straightforward. I knew what we had to do. I think it just took him a little bit longer to figure out. Even though I told him like, I hope I have more activations in health than you do dice. Uh,
Great title for the episode, by the way.
yeah, fair enough. I think he didn't quite compute what that meant, and I think that's ultimately what, like, I mean, it was still a bye in terms of the tournament. He still got the win. It was just playing to make sure he didn't feel like, he drove out there and wasted 2.5 hours. But it was just one of those that, like, I could definitely tell that he recognized at the end that he was like, I should have picked it up in the beginning, and I would have handily won on VPs instead of, like, trying to figure out how to claw it back. So that will be the moral of the story for my game.
Nice. Moving into mine, I found like a core of, well, not just in the first game that we had with the new edition, but the last few games I played in the previous edition and the first one in this one, I found a core of units that I like to build around. So I'm kind of trying to work around that and try some new things I haven't played before. I do plan on trying, I haven't tried new Volvets, which everybody on the internet seems to think are terrible now, being Speed 1. I don't know, we'll see. See how I feel about that anyway. But my core is basically 4 to 5, pretty much always 4 Rebel Troopers with shotgun, the captain that gives you a training slot upgrade, recon intel, and duck and cover. Has just felt really good with the new cover rules, basically getting, at the very least, on-demand cover anytime I'm shot, provided they don't have sharpshooter. Was supremely annoying, it seemed, for my 2 opponents that I had, where they were still getting the wounds in, but it was really, one instance was like, dude got shot by a chieftain, a Chewbacca, and 3 shooty Wookiees, and I think I lost 2 dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just between, and that was with basically, I think it was 1 dodge, because it was a command card that handed dodges out to things that got order tokens from Luke. But I like to build around that core, 4, sometimes 5, maybe a squad with a little bit cheaper stuff to make points work. And this time I took Han and Chewie, and I took Operative Luke and 3 ATRTs with flamethrowers. It was the first time I'd ever played a real game with Operative Luke. I'm fully converted. I am a believer. He's fantastic and super fun to play. I've routinely not shit on Rebels for being like a Hero Hammer playstyle, but I'm always like, I like just playing armies of dudes. I don't want to just play a bunch of characters. I played 3 characters. It was super fun because Han's fantastic. Chewbacca just took 9 wounds and died and did basically nothing, but that's fine. Live and learn. The ATRTs were, they feel kind of bad now. I won't lie. I'm maybe a tiny walker with a dude sitting on top behind a gun shield shouldn't have nil armor, but armor 2 feels real bad, and especially since they don't get cover now. But in game 2, which was the game of note, my first game was versus a clone player who is infinitely more skilled than I am. And to his credit, he knew what the hell he was doing. He knew how to play his army. He knew how to pick mine apart. And I really have 0 experience playing against that kind of a clone list of ARCs and commandos and Anakin. And several times he was doing his things, and he's like, "Yep, sorry, I basically get to cheat now." So I just got tabled. It was fine. I've learned how to lose in I've learned how to lose in my long career of playing games. Second game was versus Jason and his what is it? Wookiee Defenders list. Yeah, Gar Wookiees. And he had 3 melee Wookiees, 3 shooty Wookiees, the aforementioned Chewbacca and Chieftain, and then 2 Fluttercraft with guns. versus my list of what I had just mentioned. And it was a good slugfest, like, it was a lot of fun. We were playing I think it was the bunker one, the one where we each have 2 objectives on our side. And we score points for holding ours, and we apply wounds to if we hold our opponent, scoring extra points, and then if we get enough wounds on it, we destroy it, scoring extra. And it was what was the deployment where we each got like 3/4 of our table edge, but it was offset where like I wouldn't get the quarter on my left, and from my perspective, he wouldn't get the quarter on his right. So we were kind of like posed, if you will.
Right.
And the ATRTs, like, they were gone by turn, and we went to turn 5. It was a very tight game. The ATRTs were gone by top of turn 4. Like, I think his first shot killed the last one. But rolling up on Wookiees in heavy cover and just being like, yep, I surged a crit, and you just make your effectively 6+ saves, because there's only one. Wookiees don't surge on white defense die. He's like, yep, they were routinely taking off a whole model of Wookiees and applying a few wounds. So the joke was there was some burnt fur for sure. Luke is a lot of fun to play. I did take Burst of Speed, and I have yet to use it. He just, being that, effectively 3 full units of his army are melee only, and then the 2 HQs are kind of like, are really good at both. He had to come towards me.
Right.
And so I didn't need to pop it. I was hesitant to play Force Push for 40 points, right? I don't play Force users all that much. Hardly have I ever. So to me, 40 points for an upgrade seemed like, oh, Jesus. Seemed like a lot.
But you do.
It was really good.
Well, you also have to preface, it is really good, but you also have to preface that every Force user got basically knocked down 40 points.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
And
Force Push was great. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
And we went 200 points up in the Force org, so...
Which was some people's complaints about, oh, they just want us to buy more models for the points increase. And I was like, nah, I can take whatever list I used to like playing and then just throw Operative Luke in there. And I make some few changes and I'm good.
Or
he's basically a 200 point. Yeah.
Upgrades.
Or two heavies or something, yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, Force Push was really good. I think I could have, right, it's not all about winning, but fair being fair, I probably could have clinched the game a turn earlier and not gone to 5 if I had used Force Push more intelligently. Because I was spending more time pulling in units to finish them off, as opposed to moving. I was like, I could have stayed there, hopefully won initiative, and moved Luke to them, swung in, and Force Pushed something else, and been way more efficient with my usage of it. Because there are a few times where I was like, that helps you more than like, yeah, I'm gonna kill the shit out of that Wookiee. It's just a dude. It's not even the chieftain or Chewbacca. But I could have done that a lot better. But it was a really good game, really really close, because we got to turn 5, tallied the points, and we both hit 12 that turn, and went to KPs. And I think the thing that saved me is he didn't kill Han and he didn't kill Luke. So there was like 300-ish points, if not more, right there. Plus I had 2 squads left. And I think he had 2 shooty Wookiees and Chewbacca and a, what do you call it, the flyer? The Wookiee flyer.
Gunship?
Thank you. Yes, he had the gunship left. But, he certainly punished me for my mistakes and played a good game, and it was a ton of fun. Like, every time I've sat down to play a game, I will preface it with someone that we are like equal amounts of skill level at, where I'm not getting my dick stomped in. It has been a thoroughly fun game. Like, it feels really good to play now, where you can take your toys and not get punished just because you want to play a character or something. That's a lot of points.
True.
But anything else from that game that was exciting? again, I played the double attack thing on Luke. This time it wasn't because I did it wrong. It just he didn't need to do it. and nuked a Wookiee squad in a single swipe, and I was like, oh well, yep, he's done.
I mean,
so
it's just how it goes sometimes. You get it when you don't want it, and when you need it, you don't.
Oh, one other thing that, like, the other thing that I've been hesitant to play big high points, really killy heroes, is that I generally feel like I have to take their command cards, right, for them to be truly effective. And then I'm like, oh, well, what if I don't always want him every turn? So I was like, I'm going to force myself to figure this shit out. And I just took Luke's command cards. I didn't take anything else. So no Han, no Chewie, no Rebel specific, and no generics. Worked out pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, might I change one or two of them? Sure. Some of them seem way more niche that it might be worth it to take Assault, because like turn one for me is still really hard for me to figure out what I should do. So generally, every time now since the new edition, so 2 games, I just play standing orders because I don't want to commit anything turn one.
That's fair.
Because against my first opponent, I played... Oh, no, I take it back. I think I did take 1 generic. Yeah, I took Covering Fire, is what I took for Rebels. And, yeah, it didn't seem terribly good. Again, it might have just been me, but... Yeah, it was a good time.
That's fair enough.
That's all I got for games. Did you have any other games you played?
I don't believe so. I mean, I know... It's been a while since we've recorded, but yeah, it was Team Yankee, the 3-way, the 2K, and then your game this past week, and then Legion this weekend, and then MCP. I'm pretty sure that's every game that we've played.
Yeah, nice. Did you have a contentious conjecture for the day?
Not particularly, other than goddamn someone fixing their attitude and being a much more pleasant human being to play around than they have been in the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that may lead into future competitive market.
Do we want to keep that future competitive market under wraps?
I can tease it with a subtle hint that maybe those players will get.
I got a pretty good hint too, so you go with yours first.
Okay, my hint will be Kelly's Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
What's your hint?
Well, I recently turned 37, right? I'm starting to feel like an old man. And a YouTube husband and wife that I'm quite a fan of. He did a YouTube channel or a YouTube video about trains, and he talked about embracing his old man subclass. And 2 of the options were really getting into trains or really getting into World War II history.
Yeah, I think
and this is a podcast about wargaming, not about trains. So I'll let you take from that what you will.
That's fair. My TISM did not focus on trains. I'm only in those trains group to steal terrain ideas, because if anybody knows anything about making like large scale terrain that they transport around all the time to like different shows, it's fucking train layout specialists.
They also know how to make terrain that's like real life stuff.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, for those of you out there that have made terrain, making up bullshit sci-fi terrain is like easy. A bajillion times easier than being like, I need to make a real house.
Yeah, and that's something that I've always wanted to do for like Team Yankee stuff, and maybe this upcoming game, because I don't think we got terrain for it. But
enough terrain for the big one we want to do?
Yeah, I don't know about that one. But that one, unlike me keep being like Gamma Wolves is going to be sooner than later, this one is dependent on if and when the store starts stocking it. But we had someone ask while I was modeling the F-14s and the F-15s if we played or knew people that played, and then we just sat down all talking about the different stuff about it, and then I immediately went to the game publisher's website and started looking at stuff and saw something, was like, fuck it, I can't not, or at least have to get this model subclass. So yeah, if you think you figured it out, throw it in the comments on wherever you fucking listen, and see if you can get it. Like, hit us up on Insta or wherever the comment section, YouTube, whatever. See if you guess it, because I think I gave it away more than you did, but who knows?
Yeah, yours is pretty specific.
Yeah, but I mean, Kelly's yours could be in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But that may be like a short hour-long episode.
All right, then.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
Nope, that's it. Go out and fucking game. Throw dice at each other, or at the table. Whatever you prefer.
We're not responsible if you actually throw dice at your opponent.
Aaron is, but not me. So get him.
I agree to nothing.
Fair enough. Bye!
Bye.